Hello, and thanks for joining me on my pilot episode of Mental Shoots and Ladders. My name is Dee, and I am the ringleader of this organized nonsense called my brain. I am in my early 20s, dazed and confused. ADHD has 1 week perceived as two, and autism thinks the sound of the space is too bright, and the smell of Axe is creating a sense of claustrophobia. Join me on a variety of rants and raves, passion projects I'll probably only pick up once or for the rest of my life. We won't know until we try. Mental Shoots and Ladders has no real focus other than being a place where I can use my voice, record myself stepping out of my comfort zone, and share my personal growth with others who are just trying to figure out how to be a person in this world. I have a lot to say because I think a lot. I am a highly curious person. I am very passionate about a variety of topics. I know that words hold power, especially when we believe something so strongly. I am, in fact, a victim of my own words, thoughts, and negative beliefs. Mental Shoots and Ladders is how I'm choosing to challenge my own narrative and those negative beliefs. Of course, my narrative is a learned one that I continue to choose. Why? Because it's safe, because it's easy. And instead, I'm starting to agree with Avril Lavigne when she's saying, "What the hell?" and "bite me." If I have learned anything from the words in music, books, shows, and movies, it's that I'm not even trying to achieve my dreams or live my life. And it's disappointing my mini me, my inner child that's in my soul. Well, that's the beauty of learning. What we learn may not be able to be unlearned completely, totally, 100%, but it can be transmuted, reconditioned into something more beneficial and rewarding. I knew I wanted to be creating something to share with the online world and the world in general since 2016. Alas, I gave in to people pleasing. I put everyone else's happiness and needs before my own, and I felt responsible for making sure everyone was happy and in balance, while never checking in with myself to see if I was in balance first. Long story short, I was not. It's been a decade, and I have done nothing with the original channel I created. Nothing! So I decided it was time for a rebrand. After years of holding myself back and always saying no to my dreams and desires, it was just finally time I stopped waiting on a hell yes from anyone else around me and just said hell yes for me and gave that to myself. Because at the end of the day, this podcast is more for my own benefit of well being and entertainment than it is for anyone else. I would like to also be able to build others up and help them recognize their own capabilities to better lead themselves through life towards their own desires, which is exactly what I'm hoping to do for myself having a podcast. I do a lot of writing, and I need outlets for where that writing could go. Journaling just wasn't working for me anymore. It was actually just making all this jumbo mumbo worse in my head. So alongside this podcast, I am actually developing a world and lore for a D&D campaign and a companion novel. I'm also learning to code because my brain needs problems to solve before I create an unnecessary problem to solve for myself. Whew, excuse me. FYI, sometimes I squeak randomly. It's fun. Which leads me into how this is going to be documenting my progress for myself. I know one of the biggest red flags that I carry for myself is claiming that I'm stuck, but I also don't try to document my attempts in anything or the progress that I've made with anything. So I don't ever see the results of the big goals that I have set for myself. And that type of process where you're not recording anything when you have really big dreams and ambitions is a lot like shooting yourself in the foot with a sawed-off shotgun and some buckshot. Ain't the pumped up kicks I'm looking for. If I put this on YouTube and social media and broadcast this, I can't take it back, especially in the land of keyboard divas, where everyone has a bit more confidence hiding behind a screen. Hey, I get it. Mommy and daddy didn't want to hear what I had to say either. So here we are. Now, I'm gonna say this because I made the cover art and decided on the name Mental Chutes and Ladders long before realizing and learning that the term mental chutes and ladders actually is already in the psychology world. Um, I chose this name because it made me laugh when it popped up in my noggin. I tried to think about if I could explain what it's like to live with my brain and my thought process, how would I? Well, it's like a game of chutes and ladders, where the ladders are my thoughts and fragile ego, and the chutes are my nervous system reminding my ego it's fragile, it's sad, and traumatized. And I, myself, am responsible for humbly building those ladders to carry myself and to dust myself off when I find a chute. My brain has this insane ability called metacognition. This is the awareness of one's own thoughts. I am essentially thinking of my own thinking. I use this as a hyperfixation fuel source, and my autism made it my default setting with no instruction manual. I guess an argument could be made for having a polymathic mind, but let's save that for an episode later on. My ADHD wants to test this ability every which way, how, when, before, and after, with absolutely fucking everything. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of feeding myself the same shit, different day, through old coping mechanisms for the sake of masking in order to feel safer rather than just acknowledging how many other individuals are doing the same damn thing with social media. I am a highly introspective person. So much so, it is my personality. One of which I'm not certain I exactly chose for myself. I take things too literally, seriously, and personally. This podcast is one of those ways I am learning how to not take everything so personally, allow myself to be more messy, and laugh at myself more. In a later episode, I will dive into a theory that has been swirling in my mind about neurodiversity for several years now, but I'm gonna have to wait to be sure that I successfully avoided all the flat earthers first. Now, I do want to keep myself flexible to perspective, as research and news are subject to change, as is the natural world in general. What I know today may not be the same tomorrow. Even the sky doesn't always stay blue. I mean, shit. We have robots chasing wild boars in the streets of Poland. That's a fun one to watch if you ever get the chance. Oh, and let's not forget how big AI has gotten. FYI, the concept and idea of AI has been around since the 50s. I don't really understand why everyone is so shocked and surprised over AI's development. As an assistant, great. Research study guide? 50-50. Feels more like negotiating with the Fae. You're double checking your meaning for precision in your words before hitting send, and you may still get something wild, out of pocket, and totally unrelated. Trying to organize your own story ideas, though? Nope, absolutely the fuck not. Takes control of my projects every time. I guess for the actual D&D campaign development, that's not as big of a deal, because, like, D&D is random and chaotically stupid. But whatever. For my book, however, that I am writing, it serves a very specific function, and the campaign won't make sense if the book is not written how I'm seeing it. Anyways, sidetracks aside, this channel is primarily going to be my space to record my introspection and project progress to get things moving rather than remaining stuck with how everything is now by not fucking doing anything and staying in this mode of procrastination primarily. So, as I said, I am on a path of self discovery. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, that's the joy of discovery. It's an adventure, and I'm blessed with this opportunity to be able to figure out everything along the way. I am grateful for the flexibility and freedom that comes with starting something new. I also want to revisit some of my old loves I put down because they didn't fulfill me anymore, alongside with finally doing something with this channel I left sitting for about 10-ish years. I am also going to be coming back into dance. I'm hoping to get into aerial silk specifically. I have been revisiting my love for graphic design and coding. I'm hoping that by getting to know myself more authentically, I can finally have the freedom to work with my own brain as is, because I am ADHD, autistic, and I have complex post traumatic stress disorder. Instead of working against the way my mind thinks, I have often found myself wishing my mind was different most of my life. I was criticized, rejected, judged harshly for not thinking in black and white or from point A to point B, for not thinking in a linear pattern. My mind wants to think in pictures, poetry, rhythm, color, texture. The way that my thoughts work is they crack and splinter from a main idea. My brain is naturally gifted to recognize nuanced patterns. Neurotypical minds weren't developed to catch the same way. My ability to think in thought webs is directly responsible for my creative problem solving abilities and outside the box thinking. I can see how one idea flows into, forms, or influences another idea. I can see the domino effect it results. Sometimes my ability to immerse myself in visualization allows me to actually see my problems as roots in the ground from a plant. It's not just one stalk, there are multiple directions. The fibers just spread, they don't go in one area. This helps me to see how I can better address the issues I am having differently. I'm finally at a point where I'm tired of putting my mind to work for other people when it's really only supposed to work for me and my purpose in life. It's time I start honoring myself and what I was gifted with instead of wishing my mind to work neurotypically. I want to ensure that I'm protecting my peace and honestly measuring my limits and where I can push those limits. So, to put this all plainly, Mental Chutes and Ladders is my personal resource for building the foundation of a meaningful life full of purpose and peace. For a while, I have been stuck trying to force myself to heal through things that don't actually need to be healed anymore. Instead, I just need to take the lessons and move forward. And in fact, I actually only wounded myself further by trying to heal parts of myself that just needed to be moved on from. Mental Chutes and Ladders is my personal space to allow me to just be me and discover what is truly feeling purposeful for me. In the next episode, I will be explaining more of this in a bit more depth as we talk about the power of words. There is so much that I just want to word vomit here for clarity's sake. However, I know I have plenty of time to get there. So be sure to join me on May 7th when I will be hosting my first official episode, one, where we will further be discussing the power of words, clearly, inner dialogue, internal family systems, affirmations, and take more of a deep dive into how Mental Chutes and Ladders serves the purpose of helping me shift my personal perspective and mindset in order to allow me to change my personal narrative so I'm no longer giving power to those negative thoughts and beliefs about myself, so that I can have a more authentic reflection of my living and working experience so far to this point and so far forth from it. Now, as for the frequency of posting my episodes, there's never going to be a dedicated time, but there's a dedicated day. Every 2 weeks on Thursday, I will be posting my episodes. And maybe it'll be in the morning, afternoon, maybe it'll be a little bit later at night. But it's going to be posted before midnight on Thursday. Every 2 weeks. That is the goal. Other than on my YouTube channel, you can find me on my backup channel, or you can find me on Spotify. Wherever you're joining from, I will be sure that links are provided in the descriptions. I'm still in the progress of getting social media accounts figured out that are just podcast focused for updated purposes and staying in contact with hopefully a fan base in the future. So, yeah, I am just at a point where most of this is just going to be witnessing me figure it out along the way. It's a new thing, so there's going to be a whole like learning process involved, and I just want to share what a learning process can look like, especially a neurodivergent learning process. I'm just at a point where I finally did something with the nothing I held on to for the last decade. So come along, join me on my journey. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself along the way as well. Lead Learner D out.